In the ancient village of Yol, near the edge of a vast, dark forest, there stood an old hospital. It was once a place of healing, founded by wise healers who cared for the sick. But those healers were long gone, and in their place came a mysterious group known as the night nurses. These women were unnaturally beautiful, with piercing eyes and voices that could soothe even the most guarded hearts. But whispers spread through the village. People said they weren't ordinary nurses. Some believed they had made a pact with dark spirits, exchanging their services for something sinister. Still, when young girls in the village fell ill, their families had no choice but to take them to the hospital, clinging to the hope that they would recover. But something strange happened to the girls who returned. Each one bore a mysterious mark on her collarbone, either an eye or a small snake-like symbol. And worse, they were never the same. Once full of life, they became pale and silent, their eyes empty, their spirits seemingly lost. Among them was Ora, the little sister of a brave 14-year-old girl named Kanny. And had always been full of laughter, but one day, she fell ill. Her skin turned cold, and her bright eyes dulled. Kanny's mother, desperate to save her daughter, took her to the hospital despite the fearful rumors. The night nurses welcomed them with soft voices and cold smiles before taking Ora beyond the heavy iron doors that only the nurses ever passed through. Days later, Ora returned home, but Kanny knew right away that something was terribly wrong. Her sister was distant, unresponsive, and bore a strange mark like the other girls. She obeyed only the nurses, as if under their control. And it wasn't just Ora. More girls fell sick, and each one returned with the same vacant stare. The villagers began to notice eerie happenings, ghostly lights flickering in the hospital at night, whispers carried by the wind, and faint cries echoing through the village. Mothers wept, fearing they had lost their daughters to something far worse than illness. Kanny's grandmother, a respected elder and storyteller, sensed that a dark force was at work. She told Kanny of the Chiaru, ancient spirits that fed on human essence to stay alive. She warned that the night nurses had likely made a deal with these spirits, stealing the life force of young girls to keep their own youth and beauty. "If you go there, child," her grandmother warned, pressing a wooden amulet into Kanny's hand, "you may never return. These nurses are bound to darkness. They will stop at nothing to keep their power." But Kanny couldn't just stand by. She refused to let her sister or the other girls remain trapped in this nightmare. That night, holding her grandmother's amulet tightly, she snuck out of her home and made her way to the hospital. The building loomed before her, silent and eerie under the moonlight. Slipping inside, she moved carefully through the dim corridors, where strange symbols were carved into the walls. A soft, melodic chanting filled the air, beautiful yet terrifying. At last, she reached a heavy iron door covered in ancient markings. Peering through a small gap, she saw the night nurses gathered in a circle, their hands clasped as they chanted in a language Kanny didn't understand. At the center was a large basin filled with a dark, glowing liquid. Above it hung a thread of hair, Ora's hair. The truth hit Kanny like a storm. The nurses were draining the girls' spirits, trapping them in small jars labeled with each girl's name. Kanny's heart pounded as she spotted one labeled Ora, glowing faintly as her sister's soul was slowly being taken away. Suddenly, a cold hand gripped Kanny's shoulder. She spun around to see one of the nurses staring at her with hollow, black eyes. "You shouldn't be here," the nurse whispered, her voice slithering into Kanny's mind like a snake. Fear surged through Kanny, but she broke free and ran. The nurses chased after her, moving unnaturally fast and silent. Desperate, Kanny stumbled into a small room filled with old books and herbs. One book lay open, covered in symbols she didn't recognize. But something told her they held power. Clutching her amulet, she began to read the words aloud. As she did, a strange energy filled her body. The nurses burst into the room, their faces twisted in rage, but the amulet in Kanny's hand began to glow. A warm golden light filled the space, revealing the nurses' true forms, twisted, skeletal figures with hollow eyes and clawed hands. The power of her ancestors protected Kanny, pushing the darkness back. The light grew stronger, shattering the jars on the shelves one by one, releasing the trapped spirits. Among them was Ora's spirit. Kanny watched as it smiled at her before vanishing in a burst of light. The nurses let out piercing screams as their bodies crumbled to dust, their pact with the spirits broken, their power gone. As the first rays of dawn touched the village, the girls who had been trapped woke up, their spirits restored. The village erupted in relief and joy, surrounding Kanny with praise. Her grandmother and the elders sealed the hospital doors and set it ablaze, chanting ancient prayers to ensure the spirits would never return. As the flames devoured the building, a final, chilling scream echoed through the air, the last trace of the nurses, defeated but never truly gone. To this day, the ruins of the hospital remain, a haunting reminder of the horrors that once lurked there. And on quiet nights, when the wind is still, some say you can still hear faint chanting, carried from the shadows, a warning that some evils never completely fade. And so, the legend of the cursed hospital of Yore lives on, passed from generation to generation, a tale of bravery, sisterhood, and the triumph of light over darkness. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel to enjoy more stories like this and also like, comment and share.